Okay, so welcome to the React stuffs. Okay, so we'll see like how the React is going to work, why we are going to use React.js, and what is the benefits of using React.js rather than Bootstrap, a normal HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So this is the official documentation of the React.js. Okay, so you can visit this react.dev/learn. So this is the official documentation of the React. So where they have given all the entire concepts of the React, like how it is going to be used and all. Okay, so this is how the things will be there. So you can see like they are saying me here welcome to the React documentation. This is introduce 80%, whatever the 80% of React component you are going to use into the daily basis. They have explained here as a neatly over here. So the same thing which we are going to discuss into this session. So first go click onto the home page here. So you can see the library. So what is React? So React is a JavaScript library. Okay, it is not a framework, it is a library, so which is going to use for creating a user interface over here. Okay, so you can see they are going to create a user interface based on the components here. So it might be a functional based component or a class based component. So we are going to see with the functional based component how exactly we are going to use it for developing a React application over here. Okay, so as you know, the React application are a components which is a single page applications over here. So if I just show you the example over here, so if I just go to a website, any website, if I just go to a website called as suppose if I just go to something like a cdnjs.com. So I'm just visiting this website. So here is a website, right? So if I just click onto the about page, so you can see the page is not getting refreshed over here. The page is not getting refreshed. It is just returning you the output here. If I just click onto the API, so you can see it is just redirecting you the pages here. It is not refreshing the actual page. So even if you visit my website also, I have remade it the front end using React. So you can see if I just click on to the projects, so you can see the page is not getting refreshed. So whatever you are seeing the refresher, that is a spinner. Okay, it is not a refresher. You have to see here. Okay, you can see I am marking the point, right? So you can see if I just click on to the blog, you can see it is not refreshing it. Entire thing is in the same place, just whatever the content is there at the middle part, only that part is going to get changed. You can see if I click on to the light mode, nothing is getting changed. Even if I just come back to the normal light mode, dark mode, you can see all the things is working here. Even if I just search for anything, so you can see the page is not getting refreshed, only the center component is getting changed here. Okay, that is the power of the React here. So it is like kind of a mobile application. So if you start using a React web application, so it's like using a mobile applications, mobile Android apps. So even in the applications you have noticed, so whenever you are just going to click, it is going to give you the quick response. It is not going to give you any of the delay over there. So as the same thing which is going to help, this all the things which is going to help over here in the React.js, and whatever the server cost will be there, the server cost will be less here, and whatever the like suppose if you are hosting web application, so the server cost will be less. Because of why? Because there will be a no refresher max, and whatever the data you are retrieving it is going to be a very faster based on the APIs. So these things will be coming over there. Okay, so in the React application, so it is kind of a single page applications over here. Okay, so now before starting with the React, you have to install a Node.js here. So into your web application, in your thing, you need to install Node.js. So I'm just going to click on to the download Node.js here. So first click on the download Node.js. So you can just install the Node.js, whichever for the Windows installer. If you are using Windows, you can just click on to here. If I just click on to here, you can see it is going to install the Windows over here. Okay, so I'm just going to cancel it over here. So already I have the Node.js, just you can install it. Okay, so once you have installed, so in the Node.js, you can see the npm, it is going to install it over here. So if I just show you something like, if I just tell here as a download React, so what anything is there for the download React.js? I think there is no any official things we need to use. So let's see. So React directly I can start using a React over here. See, if I just click on to the React web application, so this is a web application which I'm going to refer. So if I just click on to the learn React over here, so I'm just going to click on to the learn React over here. So if I just click on to the installation part of the React, you can see how to start a React new project, it is asking here. So if I just click on to the first one, how to start a React new project. If you want to build a new application website fully with the React, we recommend picking the React Power Framework in the community, and which includes all, it is going to generate all the things, and it is going to give, let's see how it is going to use here. So I can use npx create React tab. So this is basically they are using a Next.js here, or a Remix.js, or a Gatsby, and they're using a Expo like this. So we are going to build using a create react app over here. Okay, so how to create it? So basically once you have installed the node.js npm, so if I just open a new folder over here, I'm just going to create a new folder. So I'm just going to create a folder into any of the drive. So if I just come back to here in the F drive, so I'm just going to create a new folder. So I'm just going to make it as a React learning over here. So excuse me. So I'm just going to open this folder. So I'm just going to open a new folder. So I'm just going to create a new folder. I'm just going to keep it as the R1. So I'm just going to keep the folder name as R1 here. So whatever you like, you can keep it. So I'm just going to open this folder into my Visual Studio Code. I'm just going to open this folder into my Visual Studio Code over here. So we have a command to create a React application. So the command is npm create React app. So then you need to give the app name over here. So that is going to create the React application over there. Okay, so let's open this stuffs. So make sure you are installing the node.js. Okay, that has to be there, and npm has to be working over there. Okay, so it is the one mandatory step you have to do it. So as I said, you can just download the node.js normal installation. There is no anything. Just click next and install it. That's it. Okay. So once I install node.js, so it is going to take a little bit time. So let's come back to the official documentation here till that. Okay. So what they're saying here in the component. So basically here we deal with the components here. So components in the sense, if I just come back to my website, see, I'm just going to create one component for projects, one component for courses, one component for blog, one component for the about page, one component for the contact page, like that. So and it will be, everything will be in the form of the components. Okay, so wherever I like, I can just import the component and I can just display it. That's all the things is been there here. Okay, so that will be the things. So and even we are going to see how we can implement the bootstrap over here as well. Okay, so that things also we are going to see these applications. So today I'll give you the entire like small things with the React.js. Like tomorrow we can start with one of the application, right? Creating any of the application using React.js, how to render the pages, how to display all the products, and how definitely like how we are going to, like here there will be using whenever you're using a CSS, there is some of the syntax are different. Like you need to use a class name rather than a class, like that you need to use it over here. Okay, so now I click on to the quick start of this official document. It is really a very good documentation for the React for learning purpose. Okay, so you guys can go through this entirely. So if you are going to this entirely, you are going to become a React.js developer easily over there. Okay, so coming back to the VS Code editor here. So now you can see here is the VS Code editor. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to click onto the terminal over here. So I'm just going to click onto the terminal, new terminal over here. So here you need to run the command npm create React app, and you can just give the app name over there. Okay, so let's wait for that to open. So I'm just going to select the command prompt over here. So let's wait for 2 seconds. Let it get on. Okay, so we can run the command now. So I'm just going to create the command npx. So we need to use npx create create React app, and you can give the app name here. So the app name I'm just going to give it as a my app over here. So once I run this enter and once I run this command, so it is going to create your React application over here. So you can see it is going to start create, and it is going to take some around a few minutes for creating a React application, because it is going to give you some of the libraries, and it is going to install, it is going to give you some of piece of codes, so which includes node models, HTML files, CSS files, and a few of the components, and some of the JS files, and all those things it is going to give it over here. Okay, so let's wait for this creating npx create React app. So once we have entered the command, it is going to start creating over here. So it is going to start in a few seconds, I guess. So because I just click on to the enter, so let's wait for it. Okay, let's come back to the official documentation here. So you can see like they are going to create a document here. So basically we will be having a function. So it is completely a JavaScript. Okay, So we know how to create a functions in the JavaScript. So is a function we need to give, and we need to give a function name here. So every function is going to return something here. So here it is returning a button here. So basically, whenever you are using a my button in your page, so you can see this is the main code of our folder. App.js will be there. So which is going to export a default application. So mainly if I want to use this button, see I'm just going to use the function name. So what is the function name? My button. So always function name you have to give it with the capital letters. Okay. So one starts with a capital letter. So my button, if I just put it over here, so whatever the button is there, it is just going to render it over here. Mainly this is our button. Okay. Mainly we are creating a button using a function. So if I just pass the function name, whatever the button will be there, it is just going to display into your pages over here. Okay. So if I just come back, you can see it is creating a React application over here. So it is installing the few of the packages. It's make it take a couple of minutes. So once it is installed, you can see it, if I just open this, I can see it is creating a package.json file. So let's wait, and once let entire things will get completed, till wait for that things. So it is going to do it in 1 or 2 minutes. So this is how the buttons we can put it over here. So this will see by putting live into our project. So then you can see, notice that my button starts with the capital letter. So this is so important. That's how you know to read, know it as a React component. So this is a completely a React component. So in this case, we are going to create a function into the same file. Okay, I'm going to show you all the things with the same file. So in the coming classes, we are going to create one entire component folder. So if I want to create a about page, contact page, or a login page, or a sign up page, or a products page, so we are going to create a product.js and home.js, index.js, about.js. So all extensions will be .js here. So entire things will be created with the .js. JS is nothing but a JavaScript file. So in the JavaScript file, we are going to create a functions where we are going to export all the things over here. Okay. So the things we are going to see here. So if I want to create something, so you can see I am a button over here. So whatever the output you can see, welcome to my app, you can able to see the welcome to my app over here. But whatever the buttons is there, you can see my button, I am just loading it here. So when I load my button, you can see I am a button is getting here. How it is getting? Because of this page, because of this kind. You can see because we are using a button over here. It is a function which is going to return you the button. So it is how the things is coming over here. Okay. So these things we'll see the practically as well once the application is developed. So now you can see here as well here. So writing a markup with JX over here. So basically here, whenever you are having a division tag, when you are having one single division tag, you can put whatever things are want into it. Suppose if you want to use a different two division tag or just a h1 tag like that, it is not going to allow in the Reactjs. So because of that, we are going to use the JXX stricter than HTML. So basically here it is a very strict. We cannot simply use h1. See, if I remove this, whatever the terminal symbol is there. So this is a symbol, right? Less than symbol and greater than symbol, and it is going closing tag of that. If I'm not using this, if I just use a h1 tag and a paragraph tag, it is giving you, it will give you the error. So I'll show you that as well in the practical. Why? Because it is a very strict, because it is going to it is a markup syntax. You have seen above into the JXX is optional, but most React component projects use JSX for its convenience all. So we need to use the JXX tag here. So what is mean by JXX is we need to use like this symbol over here. Start with this and end with this. In the between, whatever you like, you can put it. So because it is not going to give you the error, it is going to it is going to forgive it, and it is going to display whatever the output it is there over there. Okay. The same way, here we can add the CSS styles. We are going to see how we can add the specific CSS style for a specific class name and displaying a data. So this thing we'll see like how we can display. Let's come back here. I think other things is done. I don't know why it's okay. Just come back to the VS Code. Okay, it is starting it. You can see it is now it is creating the node modules over here. So here in the basically we'll be having a package.json file. So what is this package.json file here? So the package.json file is a file where we are going to have all the packages. Like suppose if you are working with a routing, suppose if you are working with the like routing part, suppose if you are suppose you see for working with this functionality in my website. So if I want to visit from one page to another page, so if I want to visit from one page to another page, so we are going to use the React router DOM is a package which we need to install externally. So in Python, you saw like if you want to install a pillow, if I want to upload the images, I need to install a pillow module. Until unless I'm not installing it, we cannot use that specific module, right? Same way in the React. So suppose to traverse from one page to another page, we are going to use the React router DOM. So React router DOM is basically a library, so which is going to package, which is going to use for traversing from one page to another page. So when I'm entering npm npm install create react.dom, so that all the things we are going to store it into this package.json file. So if I just open this file, you can see right now my package.json has only these things over here. So you can see this thing, name is there, version is there, private is equals to true. So later I think it might update once it's finished all. So in the package.json file, like whatever the modules is required, external modules required to run your React application, that all the things is going to store it into this package.json file. Suppose if I want to give, if I want to give you the project, suppose I want to give you the project of this, I cannot give all the node modules and all. So these node modules are very large files here, so which will be having entire kind of things. So what I'm going to do here is, suppose if I show you one React application project, okay, I think it will be in somewhere. So if I just show you one React application, so if I just show you the Django React application here, suppose. So we have a front end, right? So you can see once I open it, so it will be something like this. So when I'm giving you the code, so I'm not going to give you this node module folder. I'm not going to give you this folder which is starts with the node modules, because this is all the packages installations will save here. Okay, I'm going to give all the files, but rather than the node modules here. So but how without without installation, how you guys will learn, run the project? So we'll be having a package.json file, right? So if I show you this package.json file, I'm just going to show you into the open with notepad. So if I show you this package.json file, so it will be having all the modules included, like what are the things needed for running a web application. You can see here it is there. You can see to start this, to run this project, you need to have all these dependencies here. So dependencies are like you need to have a bootstrap, you need to use a React, you need to use a React bootstrap, React DOM, React router DOM, React scripts, and a web vital. So basically these are all the modules which is required to run this React application. Suppose for this project, I am showing this example. Okay, so what you guys will do, so once you get the code, suppose if I give you the, suppose if you are delivering a code to the client, so what will be to giving it, you won't give the node modules folder. See, if I just open a node modules folder, so there will be a lot of plenty of files into it. So you can see there will be plenty of files into it, which will be very large files over here. You cannot give it these kind of things to anyone here. Okay, so what they are going to do, they are just going to run one command, npm install. So this is a command they are going to run once they open this folder into the VS Code. They will tell npm install. So what npm install is going to do here is, so whatever the modules required to run a React application, so it is going to track the package.json file. Automatically it is going to see what is the package name and what is the version of it, package name and version. So it is in the JSON format, all the things it is going to install, and it is going to create you the node modules folders over here. So no need of creating a node modules, just you need to enter the command npm install, that is going to create a node module folders and run or create all the applications, create all the packages, and it is going to run it over here. So that is all the things, that is what the use of the package.json file. It is a package manager, so which has all the things, you can see it over here. So I think it's completed or not. So Reactify timing not okay, it's taking some of the little bit more time than expected. So first open here, you can see we have a node models and all the things. Okay, fine. So let's okay, still you can see it is still running it over here. Okay, so let's run, let's leave it for a few seconds. So this is how the things will be there into the node modules folders over here. So next, see, this is all the folder structure it is going to create and give it to me. So in the one more thing, in your React application, there will be a folder called public here. So what all the things will be there into the public? If I just open the public, so these are all the pages it is going to give you. So it is going to give you the fav icon, so React 5 icon it is going to give, and it is going to give you the index.html file, so which is your base file of your React application, which is going to load. So in this index.html file, we are going to load through the JavaScript all the data. Okay, so this is the main file, public file, index.html file, which is going to run whenever you are running a React application. From index.html, whatever the things you want, you can just put it and it is going to load it over there. Okay, so it is the main index.html file is a file which is going to load the React application. So what is the application name? So whatever that application's name will be existing into this src file. So src is nothing but a source file. So mainly in your index.html file is going to load into this, you are going to load the app file, okay, which is going to given by your React. So that will be existing into the src folder. So first open the src folder, you can see we have a app.js file. So app.js file is going to load in your index.html file. In the app.js, whatever the code you are going to write for the front end, that is going to be visible into your web pages over here. Okay, so then you can see we'll be having app.css. This is all the files it is going to React is automatically it is going to give it to you. It is not going to, you no need of creating all the files here. So it is going to automatically it is going to give it to you here. So you can see it is done here. So I think it's done. Yeah. So if I just open, you can see all the file structure came here. You can see it is little bit lighted. Let's wait for a few seconds. So let's completely let it finish it over here. So the command name is create React app, and you need to give the React name, whatever the application name you want. You can just give it over here. Okay. So you can see all the files that got created along with the node modules, public folder, and a source folder, and a git ignore file and package. So all the things has been given here. So you can see all the things has been done. So you can see it is done. So you can see happy hacking entire thing. So you see it is telling me we suggest that you to begin by typing cd my app. So first I need to go to this application name, that is a cd my app. So after going into this application, we need to run the command npm start. So when I enter the npm start, this application is going to start it here. So let's run that command cd. I'm just going to tell cd my application. Then I'm going to tell npm start. So when I enter the command npm start, it is going to start the server. So it is going to start the front-end development server for where your application, React application, is going to load it over here. So let's load for this. Let's come back to this src file first. So if I open a public file first, if I open a public file which is having an index.html file, so this is our main file which is going to start here. See here it is loading your logo. You can see it is loading this logo192.png file. Basically it is loading this for logo, basically for what we are going to in the website fav icon. So basically we are loading a fav icon here. So then coming back to little bit small, sorry, in this title, you can see here we have a title name, that is a React application. So this is the title name which we have been automatically React has been given. So here you can see it is loading a ID. So you can see div ID is equals to root here. So we are saying ID is equals to root here. So basically, you know, ID we are going to access through the JavaScript, right? ID we are going to access through the JavaScript. So let's see where it is accessing it here. So this is the main file which is going to load it here, actual file. Okay. So but here it is load, we are given div ID is equals to root here. So fine. What happens here is, so it will be going to, if I come back to the app.js here, so you can see here it is accessing somewhere here. It might be, so where is the index.js? Okay, so you can see this is the index.js file. It is going to load it in your src file. Index.js file will load first. So after this index.html file, it is going to load the index.js, which has been imported there. So what happens here? See, it is going to access the ID by root here. So you can see, we know, right, document.getElement by ID. It is a hosting concept in JavaScript. Document.getElement by ID root. So what is the root name we are given in the index? So you can see we have a ID root, right? So what they are saying me, in this specific place, you need to replace these things. You need to load this. First, you need to access that. After accessing it, just render back this app here. So what is this app? So mainly what they are saying it at the place first access the root. There you just render the application. So it is what it means. So what is this app? So app is coming from your, you can see import app from the /app. Basically from the same file, a app.js file is there that you are importing over here. That's it. So that is going to be shown. So whatever the things you see into the app.js. So in this we have a logo. This is a function which is going to return. Basically it is going to return this all thing here. Okay. So it is going to give you the logo, and it is just going to display the logo whenever I run the server here. So let's see, we need to see this page whenever the server started here. So you can see it is started or not. I don't know. So starting the development server, it is just starting itself. So if I can come back to my web application here, so you can see it is starting it here. So you can see it is starting at the local host 3000. It is going to automatically, it is going to use your local host, and the port number it is going to take it as 3000 to start your web application over here. Okay. So let's see. Starting time, it is going to take a little bit time. Okay. So after that, it will be a very fast thing, because it's taking its own because it is going to install all the modules, libraries, stuff like that, right? Because of that, it's taking a little bit time here. So even I have increased some of the RAM in my laptop. So because of that, it is a little bit dragging it startingly. So I hope so all the things work fine. So let's come back here. So this is how the traversing it is going to work. So like how we can from rendering from application to the React. So this is basically, it is going to start with the index and find the root, and see they are saying access the root and just render back the application. So it is going to come back your app.js. So whatever the content you are having into the app.js, that is going to just reflect into your home page. So it is what will be there. And all the files are there here. So index.js files is there. So here you can directly just use the JavaScript here. So just whatever you want, you can just put the JavaScript. So it is going to use it here. So index.js, so logo, it is a logo, and these two files are not required, and app.css is there. So even you can give the CSS here, and even you can give the CSS for the index. So basically, if I just come back to the app.js, so we are loading a app.css here. So if you want to give the CSS for any of the things, you can just for like whatever the things you want to give the CSS, you can just apply for the app. So this is global. This is the global CSS file. This CSS file is only applicable for your app.js, because in the app.js only I'm importing this file. You can see import./app.css. So mainly we are importing this file. So whatever the file, whatever the change, whatever the CSS you are going to give it here, so it is going to reflect into your app.js. But whatever the things you are going to reflect into the index, it is going to reflect index.css. It is going to reflect for the entire globally over there. Okay, that is what there. So you can see even in the package.json file is here. So right now you can see the libraries which it is using. The library just it is using here React DOM here. Okay, you can see it has installed the React DOM. The two external modules it have downloaded to run this web application. So that is how the package.json files will be there. Okay, so readme is basically a file which is having some of the things. So they are giving some of the suggestions like they are saying, see, if you want to start the project, you can use a npm run command to start the project. So once you run the npm start, it is going to run your application into the development board into this specific URL, and I can visit it over here. So you can see this, they're saying for a learning for a test, you can use npm run test here. So even you can use this as one more thing, that is a npm run build. So it is going to build for production. So if you use a run build, so basically this like suppose if you want to push the code for the production, I need to run the command npm run build. It is going to create one build folder directly. I can use for the front end application for that. Okay, so these things will come like a lot of things are there here. Okay, and just go through this. So once like I have the, you can see these all the things is given by the React itself. So I hope the website has been started now. So first come back here, so you can see it has been started here. So this is how the web application of the React works. So it is the default page of the React, so which is it is giving it me. So what is it is loading your just what it is just loading your app.js file. Okay, so this is how we can create a React application, and we can run the React application through the npm run command. So these are all the things it is just going to traverse, and this takes the index.js, then comes back to the app.js. So whatever the things here are there, it is just going to reflect it over there. Understood, right? Till here, any doubts?
No, sir. All good.
Okay, fine. So now I'm going to remove and I'm going to add the new things over here. So I'm going to remove this. Suppose I'm going to remove this header part here. I'm just going to remove entire header part. So I'm going to remove the division tag as well here. So I'm just going to remove this division tag. I'm just going to remove the division tag. So it is giving me the error here. So you can see first after removing division tag, you can see automatically it is giving me the errors over here. So it is telling me it is not returning anything. That is what it is saying here. And I'm going to come back to your app.css as well. I'm just going to remove entire CSS from the app. Save it. So I'm having a app.js here, so which has been there here. So even I don't want to load any logo file. I'm just going to remove this. I'm just going to keep it simple here. So now I'm just going to remove here. I'm just going to give the h1 tag here. So I'm just going to tell here, welcome to Reactjs. So I'm going to tell it, save it here. So once I save, so automatically it will compile. Automatically it is going to save it over here. Okay. So if I just come back here, you can see it is giving me the welcome to the Reactjs. So this is how we can just display whatever the kind we want here. So we are given the h1 tag, fine. Now if it's same thing, if I just give the paragraph tag, if I just give it here as a lorem here. So if I just give as a lorem is coming or not here, I don't know. Yeah, it is coming here. So once I save it, so you can say I'll be getting an error here. So it is telling me the error. So what is the error name it is telling? So it is giving some of the, okay. It is telling me you need to enclose with the JXX format fragment. So they are saying it is giving me the suggestion here. So you need to use this format to suggest according to the documentation also we saw, right? So here you can see they are saying me when you are using directly a h1 tag and a paragraph tag directly line by line. So you cannot use like that. So you cannot use like this. So you need to wrap it with this JXX syntax formatter over here. Okay. But one thing you can use like this, but division tag you can use it. See, I can use this division tag and I can just close the division tag here. Can I do this? If I just save it, now it is packed into one division tag. So we can do it over here. So if I just save it, so you can see I'll be getting a output, same output. You can see lorem has been coming over here. I'm getting a proper output over here. But same thing, if I just try to give the again h1 tag here, suppose I want to create a h1 tag, see I'm getting an error here. Or else if I just use the division tag, so you can again if I just use the division tag here again, so if I just use the division tag again, So you can see again I'm getting an error. So if I just tell again, I'm just going to tell here as I am Anish something. So I just say it as save it. So now see I'm getting an error here. So if I show you here, only you can see, and here you can see, no, here you no need of coming and seeing the errors to the front page. So you can able to see the errors here itself. It is going to mark you the right color here. So now if I just try to close like this with the JSX syntax, so I'm going to start this less than symbol greater than symbol. So I'm just going to start like this. I'm just going to start this less than symbol and greater than symbol. I'm just going to close at the end here. So now you can see if I just pack like this, all the things will get packed over here. So I'm just going to give the division tag. So now you can see all the things has been done. If I right click and format the document to the formatted document, you can see now I have just started the this one and JSX syntax according to the JSX syntax I'm giving now. So now you can see we have a 2 division tag. Again we have one more division tag. Even if you want to give another directly, even you can directly start with the h1 tag as well here. I can just tell here hello world. If I space do the hello world, world, so all the things works here. So now directly it is a good practice to use the JSX fragment here. Okay, so just use a less than symbol greater, just use this one and just close it like this, and between whatever you want you can just put it. So you will be getting with the error free output over here. It is going to take you the normal JSX component over here. Okay, so this is how the things will be working over here. Okay, so now I'm going to remove this things. I'm just going to remove this, save it. So you can see come back to the app.css here. So first tell here, so we have a h1 tag, right? So how to give the h1 css here? So I'm just going to use here h1. So for the h1 tag I want to just to give the color. So I want to just give the color is equals to brown color. So if I just save it as a brown color, you can see it is coming. You can see it is loading here. You can see the h1 tag is getting closed. You can see h1 tags getting as a brown color over here. So here you can give the all the css over here. So whichever the css you like for the app.js, whichever the tag, whichever for which tag, if you want to give any css, you can just come back to your app.css and you can just give it over here. Okay, that is going to work over here. So and I can give some of the, like suppose I can just come back to the index.css. Here is our index.css, right? You can see we have a body code, and basically we are not using this any of the css here. Okay, so if I just remove also nothing works. So if I just save it here, so like basically if I just come back, okay, it is working. You can see it is a global css, right? You can see all the things gone differently here. If I just have this one, so it was using margin and font family and something like it was going to font family, something it was using. So if I just save it, you can see it was using, if I just save it, you can see this was using this kind of syntax over here. Okay, so let's give something margin is there, margin is equals to 0 they have given, right? And I can just give it something like margin is equals to some 2 pixel over here. If I just save it, if I just give some margin is equals to 2 pixel, so anything happened. So if I just refresh, okay, same way I'm just going to give the margin is equals to body margin, and I'm going to give it here as a padding here as well. padding padding is equals to some 2 pixel over here. So if I just save it, margin and padding to 2 pixel, now you can see it is having given a little bit padding off here. Okay, so like this you can give all the css. This will be for the globally, and app.css will for the just for it is going to apply for the app.js file. Okay, it is not going to apply for any of the js files, because it will apply, but you need to use the import here. Import statement you can use it. If you use import app.css into the any of the other javascript file, that we'll see that coming classes in the components. So we'll see how we can give for a special css for entire like a different files. Okay, so now next coming back to the next concept. So we have a h1 tag, paragraph tags. Okay, we have added here. So I'm going to remove this one. So I'm just going to remove here. I'm just going to keep some of the important kind of things itself. So refresh. You can see I have a welcome to the Reactjs here. Fine. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to create a function here. So I'm just going to create a function here. So how which is the function we are going to create? Whichever the function you can just create it. Suppose I'm just going to create first thing, like I'm just going to create a function. I'm just going to create one file in the app.js file. I'm just going to create a something called as const. I'm going to create a const here. So mainly we are going to create a sum of the variable here. I'm just going to create a variable. Suppose the variable name, I'm just going to create a user here. So for the user, I want to give some of the name here. So I want to give some of the user. Suppose if I give age, user age. Suppose if I just give it here as a company. If I just use the company here, Infosys. So I'm just going to give, then I can just give it as a role here. Okay, I'm just going to give the name, company, and a role. So you can see we have created a user here, user as a variable name. Suppose I want to access it here. So how can I access? How can I access it here? Suppose if I'm just going to create another division tag. So I'm just going to create another division tag here. So after creating another division tag, I'm just going to tell as a h1. I'm just going to give it as a my details. So I'm just going to use the my details. So I'm just going to use the unordered list. So I'm going to use the list tag, that is 3 list tag I'm going to use it here. So how can I access the data? So I can just access like this. I can just tell here as a user dot. So I can just access the user dot name. So if I use a user dot name, so what happens here is, so I think okay, I need to use like this. So if I just use a user dot name, so basically you can see whatever the user data is, the user variable, right? It is going to access you the name and is going to print it over here. Okay. So same way, if I just want to print the same thing, if I just want to print something like the role, if I just tell user dot company, I can just print the user dot company, and again I can just use something like user dot role. So I can use the user dot role as well. So once I save this much, so if I just come back to the home page, so you can see I got my details, Anis, Infosys, and a developer over here. So this is how you can access the specific data. Suppose we have some data which we are having it. Suppose I can access, suppose I want to display some of that data into somewhere else into my web page. So I can use like this and you can just display it over here. So this is what in the documentation also they have been used over here. Okay. So same thing. Let's try to create one button here. So I'm going to tell here, I'm just going to create a button. So I'm just going to create a function here. So I'm going to create a function on the top. I'm just going to create a function. So the function, suppose I want to create a button over here. So the function name they are giving as a button. So you can, whatever you like, you can keep it, the function name. So it is going to return, or it is going to return, this function is going to return one. This function is going to return the button over here. So let's see, it is going to return you the like how the button will be there in the HTML. So I'm going to tell button submit button. Suppose it is going to return you the button, that is I'm just going to tell here as a submit, submit, submit. Okay, so this is the name I am just creating it here. This is the function which is going to return you the submit button over here. Okay, so this is, you are using a return submit here. Now I want to use the button here, so I can directly pass the button over here. Suppose I want to pass the button here itself, so I'm just going to use a colon like this. So I'm just going to use the function name. So always your function name should start with a capital letter. So button I am just using here, so I'm just going to use a button, then I'm going to use a slash, and I'm just going to use the closing tag. So once I save, you can see it is going to access, it is going to load the button over here. You can see I got the button. You can see I got the button, that is submit button over here. So this is how I can load the specific kind of buttons from here as well. So that is how the things works in the React here. So you can see we had the, like, this is the entire function here. Basically it is not like just a button. So if you want to return an entire form like login page, sign up page, like that, so you can pack everything into this thing, and you can just directly pass it over here. It is going to load it over here. Okay, so let me show you that as well here. So let me show you that. So I'm just going to create a component folder here. So I'm just going to click onto the source. So I'm just going to create a folder called as a component. So I'm going to create a folder called as a components. So this is a folder that is a components here. So in the component folder, I'm just going to click onto the new. So I'm just going to create as here as a, suppose I'm just going to create here login page. I'm going to use login.js file. So this will be the, we need to use .js here. Whenever you're creating a files, there is no HTML. You need to use .js here. Okay, so I hope everyone have the extensions, that is you can install the extension called React. If I just search for the React here, so you can see ES7 plus React Redux React Native snippets. You need to install these extensions. Already I have installed in my laptop. It is going to help you to give the suggestions like that. Okay, and we can use some of the shortcuts here. So it is going to, you need to install this one more thing. So this is the extension, you need to install it. Okay, so I hope you will install it. Then coming back to your file login.js. So here I'm just going to tell RFC. What is meant by RFC? React Functional Export Component. Okay, React Functional Export Component, you can use it here. So what is the shortcut? RFCE. So you can just enter after installation. If you use RFC, React Functional Component, if I just enter it here, you can see it is going to create, it is going to import the React, and it is going to give some of the default code here. Okay, so this is a function for the login page. Suppose this is a function for the login page, so which is having a this is going to, suppose whenever I load this, it is just going to export it. What it is going to export, whatever the things it will be into the React.js file, it will export it. Suppose I'm going to use a things like this here. So I'm going to create a form here. Suppose I want to just create a form of the post request. I'm just going to come back here. I'm just going to create a label. I'm just going to tell here, see here, it is not for, it is a HTML for. Okay, it is going to use HTML for here. So first click here, I'm just going to take the email here. Suppose I want to take the email, and I'm going to use the input here. So I'm just going to use the input of text, right? So it is the input of text here. So I'm just going to tell input of type, that is text. If I enter it, you can see it is taking the input here. Same way I can just take the BR tag. Suppose I'm going to use the same thing, so I'm just going to take the password here. I'm just going to use a password password, and here it will be type is equals to password, and after that I need to have a button. Suppose I want to just create a button here, button of submit here. So I'm just going to tell here as a login button here. Save it here. So we have created one form which is having a login.js. We created a HTML. See, we are using a .js, but we are importing all the HTML stuff. But that thing's coming into your return statement over here with the JSX syntax here. Now just save it here. Come back to the app.js file. Suppose now you want to display that login form here. Suppose I want to just display the login form here. So after this division tag, I'm going to right click and format the document. Now it is closing here, and I want to just display the login form somewhere here. So I'm going to create one division tag here. So in the division tag, I'm just going to use a h2 tag. I'm just going to tell login now. Login page, something like this. I'm using it here. Okay. So now I want to use a login. Suppose simply I can just use the so always you need to use the you need to use the capital letter here. Okay. So create a component with the capital letter always. So I'm just going to use a login here. So I'm going to change the login.js. So here also I need to change it because it has created. I'm going to use a capital login here. L and anywhere export. Okay, save it. Correct. All the things will be perfect. Now coming back to your app.js. Now I'm just going to tell here login login. So it is giving you the suggestions. So I hope it is not giving you, right. So if I just press control, sometimes it will give the automatic suggestion. If I just click onto the login, what happens it is automatically, if I just search here, now you can see it is not giving it here. Okay. So now what I need to do here is I need to just go to my app.js component. I need to load it externally. If it is not giving, I can just load it here. So how can I load it? I'm just going to tell here IAM import. I want to just import the specific login. See, I'm getting the suggestion now. So if I just tell enter login, you can see it is telling me it is going to the ./component folder and it is going to load the login component here. So this login page, if I go to the login, it is just exporting this entire form here. That is what its function it is going to do, right? So if I come back to the app.js, now I want to display wherever you like. So I'm just going to load the login here. I'm just going to tell whatever the name is there, I can just load it here. So I'm just going to use the login. So once I use the login, so you can see I got the login form here. So I'm getting some of the thing, cannot find a file login.js and corresponding to the name. So basically what happened, right? So it's giving you the error because of the compilation. Basically I created a login, right? So that is taken somewhere, like small letter L. So if I just come back to the, okay, I need to use /login, capital L. Okay, so I can use a capital letter L. So now the error gone here. Okay, so startingly make sure whenever you are creating any of the things, so make sure you are giving a proper name. So it is giving red color. After restarting sometime it will come because I had changed externally, right? Somewhere it might have stored like that. Suppose it is like how many login page you want, you can just display it. I want to display 3 login page, you can just display 3 times here. If I just refresh it here, so if you can see it is 3 times the login page is coming. So it is somewhere like code once and use wherever you like it over here. So it is of the component base it works. Suppose we have about page, content as page, like wherever you guys want to display, you can just display those kind of things over there. Okay, so it is what the things will come. So this is how we can load the specific components into it. Okay, so now let's see how can I display the some of the products, like how can I use the mapping, how can I display the array list, and we are going to stop this. So coming back to the thing, so I'm just going to create some of the one more. I'm just going to create a file. So I'm just going to create, suppose think we have a products here. So which is like suppose in the database it is returning you the products. So how can I display the products into the home page using the Reactjs? Suppose in the products we are having a something like title title. Suppose we are having a title. So suppose we have something in the product. Suppose we have Apple here, Apple 14 Pro Max something. We have Apple 14 Pro Max. Then for Apple ID, so I will be giving one ID for it. I'm going to give it as ID is equals to 1. So I'm going to use it something Apple title ID. Suppose I'm going to use it as a price here. I'm going to use a price. Suppose I'm going to tell as something like 1,40,000. Save it over here. So then I'm just going to use it here as stock, stock stock. Suppose we have a stock is equals to 5. Then we need to just tell is available. I'm just going to tell is available. So is available. I'm just going to mark it as true. True is basically a boolean value, right? So I'm just going to put the comma. So this is something like a JSON format. I'm just going to add few of the data here. So I'm just going to load Apple 14 Pro Max. Then I'm just going to use another name. So I'm going to use another, suppose Oppo F17 Pro. Then I'm going to give the price some 20k. Okay, stocks, I'm going to use it as some 4 stocks. The id name, I'm just going to give it as a 2, and is available is a true here. Then I'm going to give the another file, I'm going to give it as a Samsung. So something, I'm just going to keep it as it is, Samsung. Then I'm going to give it here as another name, that is OnePlus. So I'm going to keep it some 70k. Then is availability is equals to false. I'm going to give stock is equals to 0 over here. Okay, so suppose like we have these many products now. So we have a product that is 1 2 3 4. So 4 products we are having it. Now how can I load this one? So we will be like, suppose we have something kind of these things into a Python. Suppose we want to load it. So mainly we were learning a for loop, right? So we were been doing just a for loop there. So here how can I use the for loop? So here we need to use the mapping methods over here. So we need to use the map concept to map the specific data, and I can load it that things into here. So I'm just going to create another div document. So I'm just going to give it as a my products here, my products. So I'm going to use it as a my products over here. So into the my products, so I'm just going to create a specific function here that is going to return some of the things. Suppose I'm just going to tell my functions here. So suppose I'm just going to come back here, I'm going to write a function here. So I'm going to create a function I'm going to tell here as a product function. So whatever the function name you want, you can give it. So always the function number you need to give it as a capital letter. So this function is going to map all the products and it is going to return something. So I'm going to tell first, I'm going to, this function will have, suppose I'm going to give it as here as a product list. I'm going to use it as a product list as a variable name. So I can use the camel casing here. This is a camel case. Camel case is starting with a small letter, and the second word of the specific things will be the start with the capital letter. Like first name, so N will start with capital, F is going to start with the small. So same way here as a product list. So in the product list, suppose I'm going to map all the data now. So what is the variable name I had kept? That is products, right? So I'm going to copy the products variable name. I'm going to say here products dot. I'm going to use the map function over here. So once I'm using a map, so I want to iterate one element, right? I'm going to iterate like product. So I want to iterate the product. You can give anything here. So I'm telling from the products, apply the map function and iterate the element that is products over here. So this product will be your arrow function. So we saw arrow function in the JavaScript. So this will be the arrow function. So basically it is going to give you the some of the like it is going to give you the LA tag, something like that. Okay, so it will be arrow function. So this arrow function is going to return you the LI key. So I'm going to close like this. Okay, this is going to return you the LI key. So it is going to return something like, basically I want to just pass like this as a product dot id. So I want to pass the product dot id here. Then I can just pass something like, okay, I'm going to use a span tag here. I can use a span. No need of using span. I can just say product dot id, and I want to just pass the product dot name here. So whatever you want, you can just pass it. So I have whatever the things you want, you can just pass. I'm going to pass the product dot id and the product dot title name here. So let's see how it is been coming here. So I'm going to tell product dot title over here. So I'm going to use product dot title here. So it is a good practice. Always you need to use a key here. So the key should be something unique which we need to pass whenever we are loading it. So here the unique thing is the ID, right? So I'm just going to pass the product dot ID as a key here. So which is the key value. So product dot ID. So something you need to pass a key for it. Okay. So this is what it is going to be in there here. So this is what the things will be there. Okay. So yeah, that's it, right? So now I want to return the product list. Whatever the, it is just applying a for loop, right? So after applying it, it is just definitely it is going to store it into this variable. So I want to return a function here, right? So I want to return this specific function. So this is the mapping function we did. Now I want to return it here. So I'm going to use return statement. I'm just going to return. So I want to return all the things. So that should be in the unordered list. So basically I want to just, so each product will be, so I'm going to return like this UL of a specific product list. So this product list will be like this. I need to pass it. Okay. This is going to pass the product list over here. So basically for the one product list, basically for the one item, so whenever it is mapping for this entire item, it is going to run this mapping function. It is returning into this UL. So for a second it will return UL. For a third it is going to return. So it is in the UL format. It will be in the into the unordered list. It is going to map all the ID and a title over here. Whatever you want, you can just display it here. Still, if you want to display any other item, suppose we have ID item. Suppose I want to just display the price. Then if I want to just display the stock, so here actually if I'm passing one item, right, so you can use it directly LI. So if you want to pass two items, you need to use the flower brackets and you can just pass it like that. Okay, so let's see one item how it is coming here. Now coming back to your my products, This is our division tag, right? So I'm just going to cut this one. So in this division tag, I'm just going to use the h1 tag here. So I'm just going to use the h1 tag. So in the h1 tag, I'm just going to use my products. So in the my products, I'm just going to display the data here. So how can I display? I'm just going to use a slash. I'm going to display the products over here. That's it. So I'm just going to load the product function. So mainly this is the function which is going to run for the products. So if I just come back to my home page, you can see I got all the products over here. So you can see I got all the products. One Apple 14 Pro Max, two Oppo 17 Pro Max, one Samsung, like this. So this is something, this data will be, we are not going to pass like this. Mainly we are going to get this kind of things from the API call. So we'll be having a APIs. So with that API, we will be fetching the data. So from there we are going to pass it here. So API in the sense like this. So if I just show, I have shown you I think already. So if I just go to the GitHub, if I just go to the GitHub slash users, right? So we had something like GitHub slash API, something is there, right? API. Okay, if I just come back to this, so you can see this is how the data is there, right? So this data we can just pass it. So this is the API we are going to run here. So based on, we are going to apply the mapping function and we are going to display it here. Same way I have used in my website as well. So whatever the data you are seeing, right? Whatever the data you are seeing here, like whatever the things you are seeing it. So that things we are mapping it and we are just displaying it here. That's it. Okay. This is how the things works into the Reactjs. I hope you have understood how we can display this kind of thing. So we'll see in the coming next classes, like how the next things are. We have a use effects. You can see we saw how to display the data, adding a styles as well, and we'll see how we can conditional rendering and using the hooks here. So then we'll complete all this. This is a basics concept for the React. So once we did, we can just create one small website using a React router DOM and all those things. These are the things we complete in the coming classes. Okay. So whenever you are opening application, so you can see this is the application we have developed like in the previous session, like how to create a React application and how to set up all the things we have done in this one. So if you want to create a new application, you guys can create it, or else you can work with the same application. So I'm going to work with the same application here. So I am in the R1 folder. So definitely whenever I want to run the this one, the React application, first I need to come inside your application here. So the application name is, I'm going to come cd my application over here. So once I come to the my application, so now I need to run the command npm start. So npm start, what it is going to do, it is going to start your React application over here, so that I can just see all the data into it. So I'm just going to enter npm start here. So once I start it, so first come back to the this specific thing, it is automatically, it is going to show you over here. So I'm going to refer you the React documentation. So you guys has to follow everywhere whenever you're learning something new. You have to follow the documentation of any of the programming language or any of the frameworks like that. Okay. So this is how, this is a very good documentations that is React.dev, developed by the React community. So where we can entirely we can learn the React from this entire stuff over here. So as you know, so like if you want to see, they are saying welcome to the React documentation. This page will make you the introduction to the 80% of the React concepts that we are going to use on the daily basis over here. So yesterday we saw creating a nested document, how to create a components, markup with JXX, that is all less than symbol, greater than symbol, and how to add the CSS for it, and displaying a data also we saw, and a conditional rendering also we saw, and we saw the list as well, like how to follow up the list. So basically this is what I'm saying about here. So we had a list, right? So yesterday I shown you, suppose we have a list here, the product. So it is something a list which has some of the products, and we saw how we can apply a specific for loop. How can we apply specific for the mapping concept in the React, and how we can display the entire product data from here. So that is what nothing but rendering a specific list over here. So let's see how we can respond to the specific event over here. Okay, so I'll complete these three stuffs today. So like we'll see how we can respond to specific events. Okay, so first come back to my application, React application, whether it started. So first open a VS Code. So you can see it is going to take a little bit of time. Let's start it, no problem. Okay, so now I'm just going to create another div tag over here. So I'm just going to create another div tag. So I'm just going to say here as h1 tag. How to create the, like what was that concept, that is responding to an event, right? I'm just going to tell here as a responding to the events. So once I save it over here, so it's going to start it. Okay, let it start. So till that he will come back to this code. You can see what is this event here. So basically we have a event here. So the event name is on click. So whenever they are clicking onto a screen, so basically this function is going to run. So you can see there is a button called as a on click, and it is a function that is going to run handle click function here. So this handle click function has been defined over here. You can see the function handle click has been defined over here. So mainly when I click onto this button, so this is the function which is going to run over here. So this function is going to say you the alert like you have clicked me over here. So it is simple JavaScript, you know, right? So this is JavaScript which has been used, and it is a one more button over here. So they are using a updating a screen here. So now it is a very important concept. So basically, see, updating a screen. Often you want to a component to remember some information to display it. For example, maybe you want to count the number of time button is clicked. So it can be added to the state of the component. This is very much important concept. That is a use state. Okay. So this is something comes under the React hooks. So the use state is a very important concept in the entire React application. So which is used to keep track of the current state and what is the next state of that. So we'll see with this example. This is a good example actually which they have given here. So I'm just going to starting the development server. You can see it is starting it here. So if I just come back to here, if I just come back to the new tab here, so I'm just going to open the localhost 3000 here. So it is a default port number 3000 is going to take for running a React application. So let's wait for it to run. So only at the starting time it is going to take a little bit time. After you can see it is started over here. Okay. So you can see the localhost 3000 has been started. So 3000 only, right? So you can see all the whatever the warnings you have, whatever the warnings of the application is there, you can just see it over here. So they are saying me the product is defined but never used. The product list has been defined but never used. Like this, all the things it is telling me over here. Okay. So no issues. So again it is starting. So you can compile, that is a localhost 3000, right? Yeah. So we are using a correct so I'm going to enter it again. Okay, it is started. So now coming back to the documentation, let's try to implement this one over here. Let's try to implement this statement. So mainly it is a function that is a my button. So that is going to run this specific function, right? So I'm just going to copy this function over here. Okay. So I'm going to come back to my React application here. I'm going to close this right side. So now coming back onto the top. So always whatever the functions you have to declare onto the top. So mainly we are a default application. It is going to run as a app.js over here. Okay. So if I want to create any of the things, I can put it over here. I can just create a new component. I can run it over there, and I can just implement the specific code here. So that I'm going to do the next one. So now let's do for this one. So let's add the things here itself. So above here. So I'm just going to add the one function. A function name is a handle click function. So whenever a function calls, whenever I call this function, it is going to show me an alert. You have clicked me over here. Okay. So let's try to add a button to it. So I'm just going to create a button. So I'm going to write a button that is click me. So I'm just going to write a button called click me. So I'm just going to add a event here. So the event is on click event. So I'm going to tell whenever you are on clicking, I'm just going to run the function. So the function name is handle click. So this is the function I need to call whenever I'm running this function. So I'm just going to paste the function name over here and just save the application. So once I save, if I come back to the React application, so you can see whenever I click onto this event, you can see whenever I click onto this click me, you can see an event is been occurred over here. So it is telling me you have clicked me over here, and this is how the events works over here. So these are all the things we saw yesterday, how we can display it, all the stuffs and login pages and all those things, right? These are the things is going to work for the handling to a responsive event. So now let's come back to this concept, that is how we can update a specific ring with the concept of use state from the React over here. Okay, so this I'm going to use it a different thing. So I'm going to use a different page for this. So let's try to create a new page. I'm just going to call as a counter.js. So I'm just going to create a counter.js as a file and the components. So whenever you are using, you need to use a starter, that is RFC. So whenever you're using RFC, it is going to create a React component. It is going to give you the entire code, that is whatever required to return this entire output over here. Okay. So now what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to remove this division tag. I'm going to use this as a JSX syntax. So this is what JXX. Okay. That is what the concept which we are using, because I can load whatever the tags I want within it. Okay. That is not going to give you the error here. So I'm just going to tell here as a counter. So I'm just going to tell here as a counter and just save it over here. Now I want to display this counter I want to display this counter into my React application over here. Okay, so I want to just display after this. Okay, wherever you like, you can display it. I'm going to come back here. So I'm going to tell here as counter. So what is a JavaScript file name? It is a JavaScript file name is a counter, right? So you can just press counter and just search for the suggestions. So if it gives, it's fine, or else we can just load like this. I'm just going to load the counter, the JavaScript file, that is a counter, and I'm going to load like this in this fashion. Okay, so once I load, see, once I save, I'll be getting an error. So what is the error? You can see counter is not defined, it is telling me. So I'm need to just come back to the top. I need to import as well, right? I want to import this JS file. So I'm just going to tell here as a import. I'm just going to use a import, that is counter. So okay, if I just see enter C, it is giving me suggestions here. Click onto that. You can see import counter from the /component/counter. It is giving me the suggestion. So I'm just going to save this one. So once I save, so you can see now I'll be getting the error free over here. So you can see it is again, it is telling the counter is not defined. Okay, let me save this. Okay, I have given as a counter here. Okay, so okay, filing spelling mistakes I have given here. So let's give the same counter here. So fine, you read it as a counter. So I'm going to paste it over here. Okay, so now once I save it, you can see I got the okay, I got what counter is not defined. Okay, where is another where I am using counter here? So basically you see here there is a no counter. So if I just come back to this one, so counter, okay, everything is correct. So I'm just going to save it. So basically what happens, no, so it is going to save the previous cache. Okay, now it is giving me the counter over here. All the things are correct here. Counter is coming over here. Okay, so now let's try to use the concept here. So first I need to import a import use state from the React here. So I need to import the use state over here. So I'm going to already React is imported, right? So import React and I'm going to import. I'm just going to put a comma here. I'm going to use the use state over here. So I'm going to use the use state over here. I'm going to import this use state into the React here. Save it here. So once I save the use state, so now I need to create a function that is going to use the set here. So that is what this is a function that is going to set the number. I'm going to tell you what it is. If I'll come back here into the counter, so this will be a top. So I'm going to paste it over here, or else I think I can paste it here. I'm just going to, it is a function, right? I'm going to use the use stated over here. So I'm going to paste function. Okay, this is a one more function, right? So I think I can do these things at the top, or I can do it here. I'm going to write the function here. So there are 5 functions, or else rather than using a function button, I can just directly use this const here. So I'm going to use this one inside here itself. Okay, so I'm going to create a count is equal to count set count. So what it means, what is mean by this use state? So the use state is basically what it is going to set here is whenever you're using a const is a keyword, you know, in the database, that is a data type. So here we are using a count comma set count. A count is a variable name, so set count is also a variable name. So the default, the first value for the count is been set it to 0 over here. Suppose whenever, what is the default value? It is like something reading like, you can read something like count is equals to 0 now. So this will be something like this. So it is a count is equals to, this line is meaning of this is like this, the count is equals to 0 over here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to run a specific function. Whenever I click on to a increment, it has to increment the value with 1 here. It has to increment the value with 1. Okay, then the count value becomes to 1. So at that time set count I am going to use it here. So the default value of count is 0. Suppose if I want to increment it, I'm going to use the another variable that is a set count. It is going to increment the value of the current variable that is count over here. So that is how it works here. So now if I just come back, so here if I just come back here to the screen, so you can see I'm going to run a one function here. A function, what is a function it is going to do? It is going to a function and it's going to count the specific value plus 1 over here. So I'm going to write a function here. So the function I'm going to write it, I'm going to write it here. So I'm going to write a function. So that is a function is equal to increment. I'm going to use the function name as increment here. So this increment function, what it is going to do here is it is going to apply the set count function. Whatever the set count is there, it is going to apply this, and whatever the current value of the count is there, it is going to add with the plus over here. So this is what an increment is going to do here. Okay, so I can create a one more function that is a decrement function here. So I can create a one more function that is a decrement function, which is going to set the specific count value, whatever the current value of count is there, that it is going to minus with 1 value. Okay, so now we have a two functions, that is a function increment and a function decrement over here. So that is going to increment is going to do what? It is going to increment the value of the count. Decrement is going to decrease the value of it. So and I hope you have understood here. So this is a basic important concept, that is a use state. We are using a use state here. So the basic default with the whatever initial value is of the count is being set it to 0, and the rest of the things for increment I'm just setting by using a second variable. I can increment or I can decrement the value. I can just change the specific state of the variable. That is what the use state. So whenever I want, I can change the state of the variable over here. Okay, so this is what I have been done here. So I'm just going to create a data here. So now I want to just run the function, right? So I can see first let's see what is the initial value. So you would have been so I'm going to tell here counter value. So I'm going to tell here is counter value is, suppose I want to use a count count here. So I'm going to display the value of the what is the value of the count is been here right now. See, once I save it here, so I can see into the output, you can see the counter value is 0 right now. The counter value is 0 here. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to increment or decrement here. So I'm going to write a button. I'm just going to create a button. So a button called, and I'm going to tell whenever I'm going to click. So whenever I'm going to tell, whenever I click onto this button, it has to run the button that is increment. It has to run the function that is a increment function. It has to run. So I'm going to tell here as a increment. I'm going to give the name as, I'm going to give it the name as add here. Okay, so you can add or subtract, whatever you can, you guys can give it here. So I want to create another button on click. Whenever I click onto this button, it has to decrement now. It has to decrement the value, or it has to run this specific function. So then it is a something like subtract. Else I can give it as a decrement. Increment and decrement. I'm going to give it as a increment by 1. I'm going to tell decrement by 1. So it is going to decrement by 1 and increment 1. Can you just give it increment or a decrement? No need of giving anything. Save it here. So once whenever I click onto this function is going to run. Whenever I click onto this function is going to. This what is the function it is going to decrement? It is using this second variable and it is going to change the current state of the count value here. So let's see whether it works or not. So if I refresh it, all the things are working properly. I'm going to use some of the spaces from the bottom so that I can see the bottom screen. So I'm going to use the BR tags. I'm going to use some number of BR tags here so I can scroll up. Okay, so now you can see now the correct counter value is 0. So when I click onto the increment, you can see the value is getting incremented. The same thing if you wanted to do with the JavaScript, just simple without using React, it would have been a little bit complex and you have to write more length of the code. So you can see decrement is also working it here, and even you can see the increment also is going to work. So it is the power of the concept that is a use state over here. Okay, so that is what the important one concept that comes in your React, that is a use state here. Okay, so this is how the things works into the use state. So you can just add any of the things over here, like whatever you want, you can use it. So let's see, you can see the same count of things they are giving. So whenever they are clicking onto this is going to change the state. Whenever they are going to click onto the buttons, you can see it is telling me how the things has been working over here. So it is what the things comes over here. So it is what the user hooks concept. The function starting with the use are called hooks. The function starts with use are called as a hooks. So it is a function which is starting with the use, right? You can see it is starting with the use state. That is, we have other things like use set, use effect, use context, all those things comes. So this is a use state is one more the important thing that comes under the hooks over here. Okay, and they're saying you the sharing between the data component. Basically they share the data between the data components, like whatever the current stage is there, that is going to get work over here. So it is what it has been set it over here. So that is what the entire concept. So these are main concepts comes under the React basics over here. Okay, so which I have said you top from the like how to understand mappings, adding styles, displaying a specific data, and all those things comes over here. Okay, so it will come over here. So now let's come back to the installation part. So anything is right here. Okay, let's try to see this one. So what it is going to do here, so that we have a function. Okay, so this is the one thing, right? So really here the data is going to pass from one specific function. So that is something like how it is working means. So I can see it is having a name, right? So it is going to pass the data. So let's write this one. Let's try to create a what is the name of that concept, the function name, that is a I can say this as editing a sandbox. So anything name. So this is something like okay, I'm just going to create something called as, I'm just going to tell you something as a index. Okay, I'm going to make it not index, I'm going to make it as a hello.js. So I'm going to keep the file name as hello.js here. So I'm just going to tell rfc the functional base component, save it over here, this function. So or else if you want to use it, this one you can use it, or else I can just come back here itself and I can use it here. This already we saw, right? Like how we can just pass the specific data. I think if I scroll a little bit down, I think I have said you. Okay, this is okay, this is things are there here. So let's try to add the new things here itself. So after the counter, I'm just going to add it here. So I'm going to use a HR line. So let's try to add the function. So what is the function here they are using? So they are using a function called as a greetings over here. So I'm just going to copy this greeting functions and I'm going to put it onto the top over here. So wherever you like, you can just put it. So that should be under the top of the app application. So this is your this is your app.js and this is a function app which is going to run. So that whatever the extra functions you are getting, it should be under the top over here like this. Okay. So it is a greeting functions which is going to expect the name here. Okay, it is going to expect the name and it is going to tell hello the specific name over here. Okay, so this is the argument we are passing it as a names over here. So whenever I am going to call the function, I need to pass the specific data to it. Suppose I want to call a function here. I'm going to just load this function here. Suppose I want to load the function here. So that is I'm just going to load it here. So I'm going to load the greetings function. So I'm just going to load this greetings function over here. So it is going to expect what? It is going to expect the name here. So I think it got you the error here. So I hope okay, it is not giving the error. You can see it is telling me hello here, right? You can see it is greeting whenever I call the function that is a greeting. So it is running the function that is a greeting, whatever it is added onto the top, but it is going to expect the name as well. If you are not passing the name, it is going to run normally. There is no any things like that. So now if I want to pass the name here, so I'm going to just pass the argument. I'm just going to pass here name, right? So what is the argument? I want to just pass the data. So what is the data? That is a title, or I think they have passed the name. Okay, name is equals to world. They are passing it here. So I'm going to tell here same name is equals to, I'm just going to pass here name is equals to, so I'm going to tell hello hello React. I'm just going to tell hello React JS. I'm going to pass it here. So once I pass the name here, so you can see it is telling me hello React JS here. So it is like something, if you are calling a component, you can directly pass the data to a specific details here. So if I just pass the data, you can see it is coming as the like whatever the things I was passing here. So whatever the things I was getting, it is getting over here. Okay, so this is how the things works. Suppose now if I just call this login now, so what is it? Hello, right? So I have just called another field, that is I'm going to just call the hello here. So I'm just going to call this component that is hello. So whenever I load this hello, automatically it is going to import. If it is not import, it is going to give you the error. It has to import in this fashion, that is import hello from the component, React.js component. So you can see it is going to import the hello over here. So once I import it, you can see it is giving you the hello here. So now I'm going to pass something like I'm just going to pass here hello name is equals to, I'm just going to pass hello name is equals to Anis. I'm just going to tell next I'm going to tell greet. I'm just going to pass the greet. I'm just going to pass here as a good morning. So I'm just going to pass the data as a good morning. I'm just going to save this. So once I save, so first come back, so you can see I'm not having anything here. So now I want to pass this two data into this hello. So how can I iterate it? So I'm going to iterate in this fashion. This is a function which is running, right? So basically this function is getting two parameters. So I'm just going to get the name and I want to get the greet over here. So I'm going to pass this hello. I'm just going to pass here hello name and I'm just going to pass as a hello greet over here. So this is something like we are passing a data. Okay, so once I save it, so you can see I'm getting hello Anis good morning over here. So this is how you can pass the data from one specific app.js to any of the components. And even if you are in the same file, how you can pass the data is, this is how you can pass the data by passing the number of argument for a specific function, whichever you are loading it. So that is how you can pass the specific data. This also comes under the in this specific data here. Okay, so it is a very important one more concept that comes into here, which we saw. It has to be started into the topic itself, right? So as you know, this is how the things will work into the React.js. Okay, so now coming back to the React route DOM here. Okay, so adding a React to the existing pod. This is a, suppose if you want to install the external modules, right? React route to DOM and like that. So you need to install the external modules by the name, that is by using npm here. So suppose if you want to install integrate the bootstrap or anything like that, so you need to use the npm model and you need to install the specific module name and you can implement it over here. Okay, so it is also you can do with that specific React stuffs here. Okay, So this is how the things will be there. So if I just come back to the editor setups, so this is nothing is a React developer tools. Okay, that's just simply. If I just come back to the this one describing a UI here. So we already saw how we can display the specific UIs, right? So we already saw how we can pass the data. So here they are passing the images here. So for the images, nothing, just you need to pass the what is the source of it. So whatever the specific image, suppose I'm just going to pass the image and show you. So if you want to see, so I'm going to copy this entire image. So I'm going to show you somewhere here. So hello, it is there, right? So I'm going to come back here. Hello, it is good morning. Here it is there, right? So I'm going to pass the image here. I'm going to pass the image here as well. If I just pass the image, if I save it here, so you can see I would have load the image over here. So directly I'm loading the image over. You can see this is how we can load the image. Mainly we need to pass the link to it. That's it. Okay, so this is the one more important. So next the things comes here. So, okay, how many times you want to display? You can see if I just want to like you can display a number of times of the images that you know already. So fine. So next things has here as all the things. This is the things done. So next we'll see with the passing a props to the component. This is one more important concept. It is a JSX we saw already. So like passing a props to the component here. So this is what the props we are going to call. So what is this props? So props are something like how we are passing, right? So you can see we pass this data here. So we pass the data that is in our app.js. We are passing name and a greeting. So these things we are going to call it as a props over here. So that is a concept. As you can see, they are passing some of the data. So that is a props they can pass it. Suppose let's see like this. So let's pass this data, that is a person here. So let me pass this data. Let's pass this two data to this function, that is a child component. That is we are passing a two strings. But I'm going to pass this again. So I'm going to pass the again these two stuff, that is a person. So I'm going to pass the person. In the person we are having a name and we are having an image ID and we are having another, that is a size here. So mainly I'm passing 1, 2, 3, 4 data we are passing. So this we are passing as a prop so to the component, that is a hello component. So let's see how they are iterating it here. So they are iterating through like this. So you can see they are using a person and a size over here. So same thing, if I just come back to the hello, so I can iterate the data, that is comma, that is I can just access, that is person comma size. I'm just going to copy the person comma size over here. So hello and it's good morning. Your weight is something. If I just tell if I want to access the size, let's see if I can access it or not. If I just pass the size over here, so you can see I was access the your weight is, so you can see I'm not able to access the size, right? So that basically I was not able to access the size here. So the data is not passing, that is the size whatever we are passing. The person and size are available here, but how to iterate it here? So okay, so how they are iterating it here. Okay, so that they are not able to iterated those specific data, right? So what they are doing here is they are just passing a props, then you are using it. So let's see there how they are iterating it. So the function avatar is a person in the size, so they are returning a height is equals to size, and this is they are passing like this. Okay, so it has to come, right? But it is not coming it. So but they are passing the two stuffs over here, that is a person size and all those things. So but the data is not coming directly. So let's see how I can access the stuffs here. So I think I've given a correct thing. So let me got this size. This is going to remove this. After the image, let's try to get it. So I'm going to use in the h2 tag. So I'm going to iterate the size here. So yes size, that is size. So then I wanted to iterate the values, that is another thing, that is a h1 tag. I want to iterate the person, that is a person person dot. So I can just tell here as a I'm just going to come back to the app. So see, I have not saved the file here. So that is why it is in the white color mark. It has not saved it. So I need to save this one, right? So until I save, it is not going to get. So I can access a person dot name and a person. I'm going to access the person dot name here. Let's say I can access it or not. If I come back here, so I'm going to tell person dot name here. So now it is going to definitely it is going to come because previously the file had not saved. You can see it is coming here. So you can see lean lying, and I can see I'm getting as a 100 over here. So this is how I can able to pass the specific data, and I can iterate the specific things into this specific stuff here. Okay, so now coming back to the next, that is props, right? So they're using a props here. So what is this props here? So if I just come back here, so if I just remove entire thing, so if I just I'm just going to control D, I'm going to comment out the above line. So I'm going to save as this as a props here. So I'm just going to tell as a props here. So this is a props. I'm directly using a props here. So I think I need to import anything for the props. I don't think so. Let me see onto the tops. Okay, no. Well, I'm going to use the props here. So let's see what is the props it's going to do. So I'm going to, I think it has to props props. So I'm going to use as a props here. So then I'm going to use they're using what? They're using directly props dot person, props dot size they are using, right? So let me see something like let's come back here and let's see what is happening. As it is telling me unexpected name, person, size. It is telling me what is this size and all. So I'm going to tell here props dot grid. I'm going to tell here props dot name. So then I'm going to use as a props dot grid. Then I'm going to tell here props dot persons dot name. I'm going to use it here as a props dot size here. So once I save it, so you can see all the data is coming over here. So if I refresh it, so you can see I am getting all the data that is lying 100 and all the things is getting. So rather than passing name, gradings, everything, so you can use directly as a props and you can use the everything and you can access all the data from the props by using a props, and whatever the name you are just passing, if you want to access that name, props.name, props.grid, props.persons.name and props.size. So just using it simply like that. So it is something like a aux and cox. So we saw in Python, right, like aux and cox. So like number of argument you can pass, you can just iterate it through the one variable that is the aux. Something like this as a props also is going to work into this React application over here. Okay, so this is how the things comes into the React. So this things comes all the stuff. So these are all the main important things comes over here. So we saw how we can render you create a React application, and how we can display the dynamic data, like how we can create a form and you can display into the page. And we saw how we can apply the renderings like list rendering. Suppose we have some of the data coming from some of the API call, so how we can display it into the using a UL tags, AL tags. We can just saw like this. And we saw how we can respond to the specific events, and this is also one of the important concept that is what used it in the React. Then we saw how we can use the props into the React component over here. Okay, so this is how the things comes into the React. So you can just keep all the components very purely over here. So you can see we can add a number of things. So you can see there is something called as a function double. Going to return a 2.double name here. So here you can see basically they are displaying. So all the functions are there here. So basically if you want to display this already we saw how we can use the UL tags and display the data and pass the specific data into it. Okay, so these are all the things which covers the your entire this one basics concepts of the React. So these are the main basic concepts of the React. And after this you guys can refer this one. So I'm going to use arkprocoder.com. so you can just try to create this project here. So in the React website, so in my YouTube channel, in this website, so you can see you can try to create a two websites. That is a how can we use this enable dark theme and a daily hunk news here. So there are two websites you can start building as an assignment. Like we have completed all these two concepts. Okay, these all the things I have explained in the details, and we saw in these two sessions whatever I have taught you in these sessions are not there. That is completely differently I have taught there. But if I wanted you guys to see the documentation, how we can see the documentation and you can run it. See how easy we can, if you refer any of the documentation, so neatly they have given, we can just read it and we can just implement whatever the concept we like. Okay, so that's things we can refer it. That is the React dev.learn. So we saw all the basics of it. Now you can just try to work on to the how to create a React.js enable dark theme and a light theme, and how we can create another project that is a daily hunk news. So these are very important. Two projects are very amazing. So whatever the concepts I have taught you, exactly similarly I have used that, but I have used how we can use the React route to DOM here. So like rendering from one page to another application and integration of the Bootstrap I have taught. Okay, the two things are extra things. You guys can watch it these two videos and you can learn it. Okay, so it is important. So it is all the things, whatever the things you are seeing onto the bottom. So that's comes in the munch tag. So like all the things has been used here itself in the two projects. Okay, so it is a very lengthy project, so you guys can watch, but mainly for around 30-40 minutes, I guess. It might not more than that. Okay, so this is how the comes under the React application over here. Okay, so then coming back to the next. So next how we can implement. So suppose I'll show you one thing how we can implement suppose I want to install something. Suppose I want to install something, I can use the this one. See, if you are connected with the Wi-Fi, if you are connected with the Wi-Fi, so you can use a command that is npm run. You can use npm run or anything. So you can see it is giving me the net here. So telling me npm run, I think you need to use something here in the readme. It is the command name. So you can see npm run eject. Okay, npm run eject. Okay, and what is there? npm run build. So this is basically for building an application for deployment, not npm run build. npm run build, not npm start. Okay, npm start only, I think directly it is going to give you. See here, it is giving you the two networks here. So it is a http that works in your stubs, and whenever you're using, that is this link, that http 192 that 168.0.104, that is 3000, right? So if I just show you this specific things, I can just show you this one, so you can just watch this thing into the video recordings. See, if I just try to open this link in my mobile, that is, but you have to connect it with the same Wi-Fi. Okay, it has to be connected with the same hotspot or a Wi-Fi. So if you want to see the same application, how it looks into the mobile, you can just use that IP address http that 192.168.0.104 colon, that is 3000. If I open these things, so you can see in my mobile, I'm just showing you in the camera, so you guys can see it. So whatever the application we have built, I can able to see into the mobile as well. Okay, so basically it has to be connected with the same Wi-Fi. That is a one important things. So these are the two networks it will give, one for the web, one for your network. You can open that things into your mobile applications as well. Okay, so this is all about the basics of the React.